On July 31st, a nuclear plant near Moscow was attacked. This is just fucking insane. Total disaster. Everything's going to burn now. More than 10 hits. The Ukrainian armed forces struck a strategic facility in the Dubna area. We're screwed. Woo! Boom, bada boom. According to sources, the facilities are involved in servicing the Yars nuclear complexes in the area. Fire, explosions, and columns of smoke. Railways have come under attack in Moscow, the Moscow region, and the Rostov region. Drones attacked 5 regions at once.
Holy shit, what a blast. We're fucked. How are they going to remove it?
Fires at the railway station. A freight train is burning. The passenger train has been evacuated. We're getting out. It's fucked. The railway station is ablaze. Done for. We are blowing up trains, stations, and junctions.
It's somewhere over there, past the railway tracks. It's burning really well.
Breaking news, friends. On July 31st, a nuclear facility was blown up near Moscow. A plant connected to the Yars missile program was destroyed by a precision strike from the Ukrainian armed forces.
Holy shit, what a blast.
The Ukrainian armed forces struck a strategic facility in the Dubna area. A plant connected to the nuclear weapons program was blown up. According to sources, the facility is involved in servicing Yars missile systems, which carry nuclear warheads. There are fires, explosions, and columns of smoke on the premises. This is a signal to the Kremlin that no amount of money can save them anymore. Drones are destroying logistics. We are blowing up railway junctions, stations, and military equipment convoys. Military trains are burning. In the Moscow region, Rostov region, Salsk, Volgodonsk, and Kamensk-Shakhtinsky, railway stations have been destroyed and convoys are burning.
Yes. Yes. The bridge. Tank cars are burning. Something's burning here too. Something's burning over there in the distance as well. This is just fucking insane. It's a disaster. Everything's going to burn now. More than 10 hits. I hope you can see it.
Paralysis of Russian aviation. Everything has been hacked, from internal databases to document storage. Aeroflot has been disconnected from the system. Losses amount to hundreds of millions of dollars. The FSB is already convening a secret meeting. Putin has summoned the minister for a dressing down. Russia is in chaos. Public services, clinics, pharmacies, and Russian posts are not working. Silent Crow, the cyber partisans, have announced the destruction of the entire IT network. This isn't a malfunction, it's the takedown of the railway and aviation infrastructure.
Recently, there have been widespread flight delays everywhere. What do you think is causing this? What should be done about it, and who is to blame?
Russian passengers are trapped. Moscow is in shock. This is a new phase of the war. It will take 6 months to restore Aeroflot's operations after the massive hacker attack. Switch to horse-drawn carts, Russians. It's the most reliable form of transport. Aviation collapse. Those born to crawl will never fly. And Ukraine is planning large-scale operations against Russia. The threat could last from several days to 10 or 15. Pseudo-experts, Russian war correspondents with gloomy faces are complaining about the increase in the number of SBU agents and secret special operations. Propagandists are comparing the SBU to Israel's Mossad and are urging Putin and the authorities to be prepared for serious risks. And as for Putin, Putin is very frightened. Putin's security detail is now walking around with FPV interceptors. They're afraid that Putin will be blown up. We'll discuss all of this. The pinpoint operations by the Ukrainian armed forces, attacks on Russia's nuclear triad, attacks on railways, aviation collapse, and hacker explosions with the well-known journalist, as always on Thursdays, Dmitry Gordon right now. The Ukrainian armed forces struck a facility in Dubna near Moscow. This facility is connected to the maintenance program for Yars ballistic missiles. In other words, these are nuclear units. And the question is, against this backdrop, Shmihal makes a statement that Ukraine is already close to creating its own ballistic missiles. And now Putin's bodyguards carry not only the suitcase, you know what's in it, but also interceptor drones. So we're already practically attacking the nuclear triad, and our ballistic missiles are in play. What do you think?
Well, I've been talking about ballistic missiles for a long time, yes. So I know that they already exist. As for Denis Shmihal, since he's more diplomatic than I am and his position requires it, that's why he says we are close. That's it. Well, let's also say we are close. But we already have everything. Everything has passed the tests and everything is going to be absolutely great. And in general, oh, of course, those bastards will face severe punishment for the crimes they have committed against Ukraine and our people. No one, absolutely no one will go unnoticed or unpunished. Those who gave the direct orders to destroy our people, to utterly destroy our cities, those who relentlessly bombed our cities, who gave the specific orders, who personally pressed the buttons, all of them have been fully accounted for, every single one. Believe me, I absolutely know what I'm saying. Every single dog guilty of tormenting the innocent people of Ukraine and all Ukrainians has been meticulously noted, and each and every one of them will be held fully accountable for their actions. No one will be able to hide anywhere. We and our special services have all the databases, all the personnel lists, unit rosters, personal data, home addresses, phone numbers, years of service, where they vacationed, which countries they traveled to, passport details, family members, everything. Really everything. I'm telling you what I've seen. I'm not making this up right now. Everything has been carefully recorded. Everything is there. There are no secrets. We live in a world where there are no secrets at all. And besides, we have excellent hackers and we have wonderful Belarusian colleagues who hate Lukashenko and who sympathize with Ukraine, who love our country. Let me tell you, our incredibly talented and exceptionally brilliant young guys, our dedicated computer specialists, our highly skilled IT people, and their equally brilliant and dedicated young Belarusian colleagues are diligently doing a great deal to comprehensively get hold of all the crucial and sensitive data. The Russians are just dumb. They don't know how to hide or protect anything. They didn't even come up with any of this themselves. It just came to them. It was given to them by God. Well, I thought they would somehow thank our one and only Lord for giving them the chance not to count on abacuses, but to actually enjoy the benefits of civilization, which they didn't invent. But no, they turned out to be such ungrateful brutes. So now all their data has been taken from them. And what happened with Aeroflot, that's just the first pancake, so to speak. That is, let me tell you, no one probably doubts that at the command of our one and only Lord, everything will go down. Everything will go down. All the extensive computer databases and all comprehensive access to vast store networks, bustling supermarkets, secure banks, numerous bottles, to absolutely everything, to truly everything imaginable. For instance, the airline Pobeda and Russian railways are prime examples. Well, if they don't want to live like people in a civilized society, if they want to engage in aggression and attacks, then they need to be returned to a primitive communal way of life. Well, that's more convenient for them. But if they want to live in barracks, use wooden outhouses, and at the same time bomb sovereign states, then they should be sent back deeper into those holes of wooden outhouses so they can feel right at home there. Civilization isn't for them. They've shown that. There have been many conversations with them, many assurances and promises. But now even Trump is telling them, come on, wrap it up. What are you doing? How much longer can this go on after all? Yes, of course, we'll finish soon. And yet they keep going. Well, it simply couldn't possibly go on forever, could it really?
Dmitry Ilyich, we will definitely talk with you about the aviation collapse, the railway collapse, those 50 million, and about how Putin summoned the ministers while the FSB is holding a meeting. But what I just read recently is that we attacked a plant that develops, produces, and services YARS ballistic missiles. And in general, these attacks on the strategic aviation military airfield, the Pacific Fleet, the Northern Fleet, and now on factories that develop parts for YARS ballistic missiles, which can carry nuclear warheads. Isn't this an attack on the nuclear triad, on these nuclear plants?
Well, it's quite difficult for me to definitively state whether attacking nuclear power plants is currently on our comprehensive list of potential targets. I doubt it. Honestly, I think it's not included. We have no reason to attack nuclear infrastructure. It's untouchable anyway. And I am sure that Putin will never even give the order to activate the nuclear infrastructure. It's impossible for a whole range of reasons, signs, and circumstances. In general, it's simply impossible. But if he suddenly tries to give some kind of order, well, the Americans will bomb the entire territory of Russia where nuclear facilities are located with tomahawks. Everything is under control, right? any movement toward nuclear facilities, toward the buttons, toward anything at all, everything is being monitored. Besides, we're not naive people. We understand that the West has a huge number of agents within the ranks of Russia's leadership, among those who operate the nuclear weapons. You think we understand everything perfectly well. Nowadays, everything can be bought with money. Russians buy with money and others buy with money too. Russians try to buy Americans and Americans try to buy Russians. Well, that's a normal situation. It's just that the Russians have less and less money.
Yes, that's true. We'll definitely talk about that. Dmitry Ilyich, so I read, first of all, Putin got scared and canceled the Navy Day parade, which was supposed to take place on Sunday. And now it's being reported that his bodyguards carry not only suitcases with his biological samples or whatever else, with nuclear buttons, but also suitcases containing interceptor drones, because they are very concerned for the life of the dictator.
Well, let's start with the drones first, and then we'll finish with Leningrad. I don't call St. Petersburg St. Petersburg. It's Leningrad. First of all, it's the Leningrad region. They haven't renamed the region. And secondly, judging by what's in the minds of the people living in that city, it's not St. Petersburg. It's definitely good old Leningrad. So let's talk first about these rather interesting anti-drone means that were specifically found on one of President Putin's personal guards. This particular video footage is from the 9th of May in the year 2025.
Old video. Yes.
Yes, the so-called victory parade in Moscow, Red Square. Hey, listen, God is not a sucker. I'd even say God isn't Timoshka. He sees a little bit. I've got plenty more sayings about that too. You see, when you're deeply engaged in the act of killing people, and it is unequivocally clear that Vladimir Putin is a ruthless killer, and he systematically kills innocent people on an absolutely industrial scale. Yes, that's indeed a very precise and accurate way to truly put it, on a truly vast and horrifying industrial scale. Then with all these incredibly cunning schemes and highly intricate operations meticulously carried out by various sophisticated intelligence agencies. Well, if these advanced drones are taking off from various types of trucks, even from large long-haul trucks, and then flying a considerable distance, specifically targeting and bombing important airports and critical airfields, it presents a significant challenge. Well, who can guarantee that somewhere in Moscow at Patriarch's Ponds, the necessary drone won't take off from some truck and pay Putin a visit? Well, no one can give such a guarantee. That's why Putin's security detail is absolutely right to carry anti-drone devices. And even the podium there was covered with a special anti-drone net. I want to emphasize that we currently live in an incredibly unpredictable and volatile world, a reality that applies universally, whether you are a powerful figure like Vladimir Putin or not. There are absolutely no inherent guarantees or certainties that, if certain influential people possess the necessary political will and determination, Putin will ultimately be able to save himself from the consequences of unfolding events. There really are no guarantees. Why is that? I mean, Saddam Hussein didn't manage to save himself, so why should Putin be any different? We understand that there was political will behind what happened to Saddam Hussein and a number of other people. So Putin has done so much that at some point the moment will come when the desires of both the West and the so-called Putin elite to get rid of this man and forget he ever existed will align at a single point. And that moment is getting closer and closer because he is already getting in everyone's way. Do you feel it? He's simply a nuisance to everyone. Before, he was only a problem for Ukraine, but now he's a problem for the West as well. But now he's also a problem for his own elites because, well, he's neglected the main rule. As long as he had an agreement with the elites, as long as they could calmly steal, give him his cut, and enjoy their lives, everything was fine. But he started hunting the elites. Look, there are no untouchables anymore. Governors, both current and former, are being imprisoned. The Minister of Transport, a former governor, was driven to suicide. Or maybe he was killed. That's still unknown. And the elite, the powerful and influential elite, started getting incredibly nervous, just really, truly nervous, because damn it, if he's doing this to them, then we, the rest of us, are absolutely next. This is precisely what happened under the oppressive regime of Stalin. And this is precisely why Stalin was ultimately taken out. And then they, the surviving members of the elite, started living peacefully, having finally shook off the terrible, crushing burden of the years 37 and 52. The very people who, together with Stalin himself, had signed countless execution orders now conveniently said it was all him. It was entirely his doing. It was all him, and now we're exposing this abscess, this cult of personality. At the 20th Congress of the Communist Party, the cult of personality was denounced by those who had been its most active participants. And they pinned everything on Stalin, whom they themselves had killed. History repeats itself. Putin has become dangerous for his own elite. Well, they don't want to live in fear. Isn't that normal? But he forces them to live in fear. They see that it's already starting, and from his side, it's just plain madness. Look at him. He already looks like a lunatic. You can see it in his twisted face, in his words, in his actions. I mean, if before he was still more or less a statesman, albeit with a negative sign, but still a statesman who spoke coherently, albeit in a barracks-like flat manner, but he joked and so on. Today, he's truly a cornered rat. Just look closely and carefully at his eyes. They're behaving quite irrationally, almost frantically, displaying a profound sense of desperation. I mean, you're the leader of such a country, and you're telling people how to turn off the lights? That's just, well, idiotic. He's explaining to that rear-wheel drive Zarubin, his pocket journalist, how to turn off the lights. Why are you laughing? You don't think he's rear-wheel drive? I think he is. There you go. So he's telling stories about how his parents used to turn off the lights. And in general, he turns off the lights himself. It's about time he drained the water already. What lights? It's time to drain the water and drain himself too, if I may say so. All right, the lights. Now let's move on to St. Petersburg. This is just a total disgrace. What I saw is a diagnosis in itself. I'll try to explain this now. You brought up this question, Dasha. Thank you for that. Navy Day is a huge holiday for all of Russia. The Holy Trinity of Russia, as those idiots Tsiganov and his wife say. It's a big holiday for the whole country. And how could it not be? It's an icon, the Navy. And they always used to say with great conviction, Ukraine, the Black Sea Fleet, that truly means Sevastopol, the historic city of Russian glory, a place of immense significance. They sang that idiotic song, legendary Sevastopol, pride of Russian sailors. Tra-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. And we will not allow it. And there will always be a Russian fleet in Sevastopol. I have one question. Where is the Russian fleet now? The Black Sea Fleet. Where is it? Where is the Black Sea Fleet? Let me explain. Half of it has become a submarine fleet lying at the bottom, sunk by the Ukrainian armed forces. The other half has safely departed to the base of Novorossiysk and anchored there. And even there, the Ukrainian armed forces are getting to it. The cruiser Moskva, the flagship of the Black Sea Fleet, has been sunk. The aircraft carrier Admiral Kuznetsov, the only aircraft carrier in Russia, while America has 13 of them, and they're incomparably more powerful than the Kuznetsov, with crews of 6,000 people each, not to mention a whole group of accompanying ships. This Kuznetsov that they dug up, well, they wanted to amaze the whole world by sending Admiral Kuznetsov, or Kuzya as they call it, this only aircraft carrier, to the shores of Syria. And they did, of course, manage to amaze the whole world because it broke down, they had to tow it, then they repaired it, then it set off again, and then it was spewing such thick black smoke that the whole world was stunned. What is going on? It's just a 1970s aircraft carrier that they kept repairing and repairing, laundering money over those repairs, and in the end they said, no, it's no longer practical to keep fixing it. That's it, they decommissioned it. Russia has no aircraft carriers now. That's what I wanted to say about the state of Russia's Navy. And as the cherry on top, I'd add this, every year there are naval parades, sometimes in Sevastopol, sometimes in St. Petersburg, in Leningrad, or somewhere else, maybe in the Barents Sea, where the Northern Fleet is based. Well, this time they were planning it in St. Petersburg. The parade was canceled. And Putin showed up. And then, listen, it's just shameful, it's a pathetic sight. He's presiding over the so-called parade without ships, somewhere in some filthy Leningrad back alley. Just look at this spectacle. It's a total back alley. These people are marching, sailors, admirals, whoever they are. And he stands there reviewing them. But that was just the beginning. That was just the warm-up. Then they dragged him off to some place where he was presented with the Patrushev medal. Patrushev used to be a serious man. He was the head of the FSB for a long time. Then what was his position after that? Secretary of the National Security Council, just the Secretary of the Security Council, Putin's right-hand man, the fearsome Patrushev, always Patrushev. Well, now he's his assistant for naval affairs. And this assistant for naval affairs is presenting Putin with some kind of medal for services to the Navy. But this is just shameful and disgraceful, honestly. There's this turnstile set up in some room, like at a factory entrance. That same factory entrance that, as the song goes, brought me out into the world. But it's a real factory entrance with that turnstile spinning, and Patrushev is handing Putin this medal, some kind of medal for services to the Navy. And Putin says to them, I have some medals too, I'll give you some as well when the time comes. Listen, this is a collapse. It's a collapse. The collapse of an empire, the collapse of an era, the collapse of Putin, Patrushev, and all this riffraff. It's a collapse. It's the end. It's so shameful. So, it reminded me, just a little more, by the way, just a little more. Next, there will be footage of Hitler in the bunker and all his associates. When they were sitting in the bunker, by that point, the Red Army wasn't just storming Berlin. It was already just a few kilometers away from the Reich Chancellery and the bunker. And what were they doing in the bunker? Drinking schnapps, having fun, as if it were their last time. Hitler gets married, he marries Eva Braun, and then commits suicide with her. Goebbels too, suicide, his wife, their children, 6 kids, and himself. So basically, it's an apocalypse of sorts. Just a little bit more. These little medals at the factory entrance and that parade in a Leningrad alleyway, they're harbingers of what's to come. You see, history always repeats itself, especially for those who learn nothing from it. That's why I think the most interesting part is still ahead. And you know what we'll say then? That it all just fell apart so easily. Unbelievable. It seems so unshakable. Just like that, so easily. So now it's gone. That's it. Unbelievable. That's how the Soviet Union was falling apart. Great and mighty. Such a Soviet Union, dozens of Sovietology institutes just in the United States. How do you coexist with the Soviet Union? How do you deal with these Russian bears? They studied and studied and were afraid. I'm talking about the West. They were afraid of the missiles looking over their shoulders, always trying to smooth things over, trying to establish some kind of dialogue, giving technology to this dumb country in exchange for oil. And then Comrade Reagan, such a decisive guy, said, that's enough. How much longer? To hell with them after all, these ungrateful bastards. You see what they're doing? Come on, my friend Thatcher, let's take care of them. And they did. And the Soviet Union collapsed right before everyone's eyes. And not a single person even came out to defend it. There were 18 million communists across the country, 250 million people, 18 million communists. A whole bunch of informants, KGB officers, Ministry of Internal Affairs, prosecutors, you name it, the devil himself. No one came out to defend it. I remember how I felt on December 25th, 1991, watching the Vremya news program. The Soviet flag was being lowered over the Kremlin, slowly coming down, the end of the Soviet Union. I thought, wow, unbelievable. So many people dreamed of this day. So many dissidents went to prison, to hard labor, to solitary confinement, to suffering. So many of the best people were ground up in concentration camps. So many were simply killed, starved to death, sent against tanks with rifles, with sawed-off shotguns. And well, so many were sent into exile abroad. And now it all just collapses like this, as if it never even existed. The same thing will happen with this fascist Russia. Exactly the same way. Maybe the form will be different, but the outcome will be the same.
From your lips to God's ears. Dmitry Ilyich.
It's already started.
Yes. So, Ukraine is planning large-scale operations against Russia. The threat ranges from a few days to 10 or 15. Experts, Russian war correspondents Skobiva and Skorobiva and Popova, with sad faces, complain about the increase in the number of SBU personnel. Propagandists compare the SBU to Israel's Mossad and urge Putin's government to be prepared for serious risks, large-scale provocations, and explosions.
I can say only one thing. The SBU is a powerful organization that in wartime conditions operates at the level of the world's best intelligence agencies. I'll go even further. Today, many outstanding intelligence services are learning from the SBU how to operate in wartime conditions. Yes, let's not talk about that. So I think...
That's your signature phrase, Dmitry Ilyich. You just said your signature phrase.
Yes, well, I always have two feelings battling inside me. The first, I want to say something and make everyone happy with what I say. And the second, no, I can't. Either it's not allowed to be said, or you're not the one who should say it first, or maybe it's just too soon. Well, there are such moments. So that's why, yes.
We keep silent. That's why we keep silent. Keep silent. We don't say anything.
That's why we keep silent, yes. Well, the Russians are right to be afraid of the SBU and afraid of Ukraine. That's right. Well, what did they expect? What did they expect? Those idiots with their heads screwed on? Damn it. They wanted... We came now, whether you like it or not, deal with it, my beauty. They wanted to rape an entire country and its people. They wanted to mock us. They wanted to take over everything here and make us slaves. And they thought we were such fools that we wouldn't be able to fight back against them. What were they thinking? What were they thinking with those idiots?
Dmitry Ilyich, our favorite topics with you. The cherry on top. So strikes on Russia's railway logistics. That's the first topic. Let's start with that. We understand that we're attacking the Moscow region, the Rostov region. There's a fire at the railway station in Ufasaisk. Freight trains are burning. Passenger trains are being evacuated. Oriol has been attacked. The traction substation, a double one. We're attacking oil refineries. A strike on the Makeyevka substation Chaikina 330, a key point in Donbass. We are systematically knocking out Russia's logistics in the southern and Donbass directions, as all well-known military analysts are already reporting. Moreover, we're destroying GSM. Every single day there are explosions at railway junctions. Dmitry Ilyich, what's going on? They're in a panic over there. The railway system is already collapsing.
Everything is heading toward the point where they won't be able to fly or travel anywhere. Because if you were to ask me precisely how I would act in such a situation, I would tell you my exact plan. I would endeavor to make the Russian citizens, the populace, rise up against their current leader, Vladimir Putin. And how would I make them do that? You have to paralyze all movement. It's summer, they want to go on vacation. They want to fly. No flights at all. So we launched just one drone over Moscow, just one. They go into lockdown mode, planes don't fly. They shoot down that drone, we launch the next one. I would have drones hovering all the time, every day, and specifically during the day. At night, there are fewer flights, so that there would be no daytime departures. Boom. Second, of course, infiltration into bases and the destruction of bases. That is the destruction of bases.
The destruction of Russia. What a word, Dmitry Leontievich.
Yes, systemic destruction, the destruction of all these computer systems. They didn't invent them, so it's not for them to miss them. So everything should be meticulously done in such a comprehensive way that absolutely no one can successfully sell a single ticket. No one can legitimately return a purchase ticket. No one can effectively exchange a valid ticket. No one can properly refuel an aircraft, and no one can actually take off from the ground. Well, without computers, just imagine if all these computer communications collapse. That is to completely paralyze the aviation industry.
Simply music, symphonies from your lips. Go on.
Dasha, I didn't catch what you said. You said just ma, and then you disappeared.
I said simply music and symphonies from your lips, and I'm ready to repeat it.
Yes. So, now let's continue. Next, the railway. We need them to stop traveling by train and by plane. The same goes for the railway, so that not a single train can reach its destination. The same with commuter trains, everything. So what does this achieve? People say, hey, hello, we didn't agree to this. Government, what are you doing? Putin, what are you doing? Then everything else gets shut down. Banking systems go down with the help of hackers, and all the food supply systems too. Everything crashes. And after each strike, they ask, are you ready for a ceasefire yet or not? No, not yet. Oh, not yet? Okay, then the next strike. So, are you ready now? No. Ah, well, then you get, and at the same time, of course, strike Moscow first and foremost. I'm not saying, let me be clear, for those listening right now, attention. I'm not saying to strike civilians. We're not them. We're not animals like they are. Under no circumstances, never against civilians, never against civilian homes, nor, well, I don't know, against any kind of entertainment infrastructure. Only against military targets and logistical targets that support military objectives. That's the only way. Well, that's the plan of action. And you understand, with my limited brain, I couldn't have come up with such a plan myself. That's why I'm just saying what I know is going to happen very, very soon.
Dmitry Ilyich, regarding the cyber attack on Aeroflot, here are the bare statistics. Losses of more than $50 million. The FSB held an emergency meeting. Putin summoned the new Minister of Transport for a dressing down. 7,000 servers were destroyed, and more than 30 to 50,000 passengers were affected. Full recovery will take more than a year. But most importantly, aside from what was reported about what the Belarusian cyber partisans did, now aviation paralysis is possible without drones, just through cyberspace. This is simply a new kind of know-how now. Now we can bring everything to a halt through hackers. What do you think? And in general, how significant are these losses for Russia in numbers?
No, the numbers are staggering. You know, they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars. So using hackers to bring everything down, I don't know why this idea didn't occur to anyone earlier, but it's the most effective method. And just imagine taking down the banking system. Just imagine you're a Russian citizen, you need to get money from the bank. You keep your money in the bank. For example, I've never kept my money in a bank, by the way, nor in a bottle either. Everyone knows I've always invested in real estate and never kept cash. That's it. But many people still keep their money in banks the old-fashioned way. So they get punished from time to time. Banks go bankrupt. They don't get their money back, but they still keep bringing it to the banks. Well, such stubborn people. There are tons of such people in Russia. They keep their money in banks. We need to crash the banking system so that no one can withdraw money from their accounts. That is, create so many inconveniences for the population that they finally start to ask questions so that the war finally reaches them. Otherwise, the war is just somewhere out there. They're bombing Ukrainians over there, and who cares about them? Exactly. They're fascists, they're Banderites, Nazis, right? Exactly. We are Russia, we need to bomb them. Oh, yeah. But when the war comes to them,
Yeah.
not just in the form of drones or missiles, but in these kinds of inconveniences that make it impossible to live normally and comfortably, that's when they start to have questions. What are we doing in someone else's country? Why did we invade there? Why are we putting up with this now, with these kinds of problems? And where is Putin? Vladimir Vladimirovich, I like it. In Donetsk, there's no water, just no water at all. I mean, there's just no water at all. You can't wash yourself, you can't flush the toilet, you can't brush your teeth, you can't drink. Nothing at all, no water. But the Russian world has come there.
Of course.
Not long ago, Rihanna came to visit. Donetsk was full of fancy foreign cars, boutiques, the Donbass Palace Hotel, and
Arena.
Donbass Arena, and everything was beautiful. And now people are selling things right off the asphalt, right from the ground. No more boutiques, nothing. The Russian world is the stinking Russian world. And there's still no water. And those people who once seemed to me like proud Donetsk miners, the proud ones have already left, and what's left is just the dregs, apparently fans of the Russian world. Instead of going out to protest and saying, what the hell is wrong with you, the way they know how to say it. What the hell is wrong with you over there in your Moscow? Have you completely lost it? We don't have any water? If this had happened under Ukraine, they would have gone out and protested. They would have taken to the streets. But here, they're putting the children out there. Children. I've seen those videos. The children say, Uncle Vova, they're addressing Putin. Please give us some water. We're growing up. We need some water. We want to wash ourselves. My God, it's a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. Where is that proud Donbass spirit? Who's even left there? What kind of people are these anyway? It's a nightmare. A slave mentality, Dmitry Ilyich, a slave mentality. Because the Russian world is an aggression that turns people into slaves. Of course,
Dmitry Ilyich, I searched for a long time and finally found it. Honestly, this news just shocked me to no end. A temporary restriction on mobile internet and communications is being introduced in the Sverdlovsk region. This was reported by the governor. Moreover, the governor of the Oriol region also announced communication restrictions. On Monday, a similar indefinite shutdown for a month, 2, or even a year was announced in Udmurtia. Dmitry Ilyich, the FSB is turning Russia into a concentration camp. They are shutting down mobile internet and communications. What is this even about?
Yes, they are shutting down mobile internet. At first, they said it was to fight against drones. But in Yekaterinburg, Ukrainian drones haven't really been spotted yet. I think they want to, and they're already on their way to this. They want to build the Chinese model where the internet is completely controlled and not even a fly can get through. In other words, people like us won't be able to watch anything. I think they'll achieve this. And as a result, right now, they're just testing the equipment and systems they want to launch. That's why these disruptions are happening even in Yekaterinburg. They're testing how to do it. But if unrest starts somewhere, they'll cut off the internet completely. Mobile, city, home, everything. They'll cut everything off because they understand it's a danger. Putin in general, someone from his inner circle once told me, I can't remember who now. I've had heart-to-heart conversations with several of his associates more than once. One of them told me that when smartphones first appeared, Putin said this was invented by the Americans on purpose so they could spy on us. He himself doesn't use a smartphone, doesn't use a computer, because he is absolutely convinced that someone is spying on him through a smartphone. By the way, I don't rule that out. I don't rule it out. But he's paranoid, so he thinks it was invented specifically to spy on Russians.
Yes, his best friend is the refrigerator and everything else isn't that important. Dmitry Ilyich, that was probably Pugachev who told you that, right?
I'd even say not the refrigerator, but the freezer.
That's exactly right. Dmitry Ilyich, you've been heard because it's not just Aeroflot. What else did the hackers break into? They hacked the Stolicki pharmacy chain, Neopharm, some private clinics like Family Doctor, Russian Post, the Federal Tax Service, government services were down, which means Telegram channels weren't working either. All of this was done by the cyber partisans. It was all they're doing. Moreover, there was panic at Sheremetyevo, Zhukovsky, and Pulkovo airports. Hundreds of flights were cancelled, and the FSB completely blocked Telegram and navigation systems. But now we're getting to the main topic, our main topic for the finale. It's your favorite Donald Trump. Donald Trump came out and said 10 days. Trump said that Putin didn't respond, that it's a disgrace, and that in 10 days sanctions will be imposed. But here's the question. Now, Trump has reached an agreement with China that they won't impose sanctions for now. I can't understand what will be imposed in 10 days if there are already agreements with China. And most importantly, Peskov said, we don't give a damn about this. We are continuing the military operation. We don't care about Trump or his statements. Dmitry Ilyich, what do you say?
Peskov will end up regretting it. That's the first thing. He'll definitely regret it, 100%. They'll all regret it. Second, I think, and I've said this many times, Dasha, on our streams together, I've said that Trump is not some boy who will tolerate being mocked in front of the whole world. After all, he didn't survive a death that was just millimeters away from him for nothing. And that's always a mission. But not so that he could be mocked, because I absolutely believe that he liked Putin. He wanted to be friends with him. He definitely wanted to make money with him. Based on what I know about Trump, he genuinely doesn't understand how, in the 21st century, people can choose war instead of making money and doing business. And really, what kind of war is this anyway? War is for idiots. Smart people should be making money. That's his worldview. And actually, I like that kind of worldview. I mean, really, why fight? Sit down, make a deal, and make money together. Look, right now, Armenia and Azerbaijan are about to reach an agreement, along with Turkey, all three of them. And the Americans will be the fourth, and this Zangezur corridor will bring all of them a lot of money. Why fight when you can make money? So Trump kept watching all this, kept watching. Maybe it took him a while to get it, but eventually he realized that Putin was just playing him. And, well, he's an amoral guy. He says one thing, does another, and keeps waging war against Ukraine. He's tired of it. I said he would get tired of it. Just pull up all our broadcasts. I said he would get tired of it and bang his fist on the table. He will definitely bang his fist on the table. He's already banging it. Today, a decision was made regarding India because India trades with Russia and buys weapons from them. Negotiations are underway with China. And of course, the Americans and the Chinese will come to an agreement because for the Chinese, it's much more important. I'll say it again, much more important to reach an agreement with the Americans than with the Russians. Well, it's elementary, Watson. That's why I believe nothing good awaits Russia. I think a decision has been made at the highest, the very top level to make a fool out of Russia, to scapegoat it. And they will make a fool out of it because it deserves it. Because there's no reason to meddle in a sovereign country and kill people there. No reason. Simply no reason.
So, and now attention, dear audience. Next time, Dmitry Ilyich and I will meet exactly 1 week from now on August 7th. So, Dmitry Ilyich, by August 7th, will 10 days have already passed or not?
Yes, they will have passed. They will definitely have passed by August 7th. We will already know the outcome by then.
So, and then we will discuss everything. We'll discuss everything that will be happening. I'm very interested in Putin's reaction. Yes, Dmitry Ilyich.
We'll discuss everything and even more.
Yes, that's for sure. Putin's downfall will begin starting from August 7th. I hope so.
It's already begun. It's already underway. Dasha, we talked about this with you today. It's already happening. By the way, take a close look at him. He's not in his right mind anymore. He's lost his composure. He's already taken a hit. It's like a boxing match. He's already taken a hit. He can't take any more punches. Watch, everything will unfold right before our eyes.
A wonderful ending, dear audience. Please like this video. Write a few kind words in the comments to support our tandem with Dmitry Ilyich to support sanctions against Russia and China. Well, I mean the secondary sanctions. And of course, to support Ukraine's victory. Right, Dmitry Ilyich?
Yes. Glory to Ukraine, Dasha.
Glory to the heroes. We will definitely win.